I've been a magician now for 35 years, and I was quite a late starter. And I was self-taught. I had to teach myself because nobody would teach me. So I went where magicians go and hung about, and I kept my mouth shut and my ears and eyes open, and then I implied I knew a bit more than I did, and then made it up as I went along. And the market had just opened up. Things had changed. We'd gone from the only people who went to nightclubs were people who wore black ties and had lots of money, and the market had sort of relaxed an awful lot. People were going out to restaurants just because they wanted to, and nightclubs were becoming much more relaxed. There was a market opening up for people to come to your table and impress the hell out of you. Yeah, I can remember the first magic trick I ever performed, and funnily enough, it's still in the act. I set fire to a napkin, put it back together again. And the second one that I got on top of was the rope routine, which has now grown into something that is really quite special. It rose in popularity because people had started going out more. Restaurants were, the Wimpy was dead. and people at restaurants, there was a whole slew of classy restaurants were opening up in London and were accessible to people. And so there was this time when people were starting to look for, and also there was a big advantage to licensing. If you had live entertainment going on in your restaurant, you could serve drinks later. So having a live entertainer in the restaurant meant they could sell more alcohol. And then that was when they realised that actually it's a draw, actually it's a very useful thing to have. It builds atmosphere very quickly. Those little islands of applause and laughter that you get as a magician is circulating, it's not intrusive, but it just generates some of that atmosphere that's really hard to build otherwise. I don't like magic. I love what magic will do. You see, magic per se can be extremely tedious. Here comes another card trick. But if you pitch it right and you get the right hook there, then magic can be amazing. I love knowing that I can walk into a room and change the atmosphere and suddenly kickstart that party. That's what I love about it. I wouldn't sit down and read a magic book. Sorry, but I will sit down and read a magic book if there is an effect in there that I know will improve what I'm doing. I don't know why I have theories. I have theories about why I've kind of stayed there for a while, and it's because I worked out in the early days that it has to be direct. Magic has to be powerful, direct, simple. It has to have an easy plot, and you have to have lots of applause points going on throughout the presentation, throughout the performance. And it is a performance, and every table that you hit should have an opening effect, a couple of nice middle ones, and then a powerful closer. Well, there was Sting's wedding, his wedding anniversary. There was Eric Clapton's 40th birthday party. There have been parties at Cliff Richard's house. There have been parties at Spencer for the Spencers. There have been the odd palace thrown in here and there. I had to stop writing them down in the end because it looks as if I was making it all up. And here at Langhans, when Langhans just opened, wow, we got it was wall-to-wall celebrities. Sammy Davis Jr., Frank Sinatra, they were all in. And so I opened up that little scene there. Oh, there was a party at Cliveden, which was extraordinary. And it was like 200 young people celebrating an 18th birthday party. And 199 of them had turned up. and everybody was on the terrace waiting for the 200th to arrive, and a helicopter flew low over the house and it didn't land on the helipad, it landed spang in the middle of the rose garden. And this young man in an immaculate dinner jacket got out of there. And this is the coolest thing. If you ever arrive in a helicopter, you have to do what this young man did. He lifted down the most beautiful brown chrome leather bag from inside the helicopter and walked straight up to the terrace, and did not once did he turn round and look at the helicopter. It was the coolest thing you've ever seen. And I'll always remember that young man's arrival. Well, performing for the Queen, and indeed for anybody with serious status, is to remember that you do what you do. Very early on, I was booked to do a charity show at the Museum of Scotland for a very young Prince Edward. And I came out afterwards, done that one, and the organiser said, "That wasn't your act." And I said, "No, but it was Prince Edward." It was Prince Edward. I said, "Well, no, look, you have to trust us. We've booked you because we know what you do. And therefore, you do what you do. And unless anybody has come up to you with any specific instructions. But as far as the British royal family is concerned, you treat them as human beings, which indeed is what they are." I'm not sure if the Princess of Wales had a particular love for magic, but I'd like to think there was a sort of a synergy there. I remember I was at the Savoy waiting for the premiere of The English Patient. So we had a lot of people from the Red Cross and Dickie Attenborough and all sorts of people, and it was running a little bit late, and I was standing in the foyer waiting for the guest of honour to arrive, and everybody sort of came, the entourage came in and swept through the foyer, and they were in a great hurry to sit down, and the princess said, "No, sorry, want to talk to Fay." And it was a lovely moment. I made a television documentary a few years ago, and my niece was in it because I'd taken them to the Hard Rock Cafe, and I was doing another benefit for the Red Cross, and a black-clad arm reached through the little group of people I was talking to, grabbed me by the shoulder and turned me around and said, "Aren't you talking to me this afternoon, Fay?" I said, "Ma'am, you're very busy." And she said, "No, your niece is very special, isn't she?" Because she'd watched the documentary. And I was able to phone my 11-year-old niece up and say, "The Princess of Wales thinks you're very special." And the gasps from the other end of the phone just had to be experienced. It was extraordinary. Close-up magic is very useful in an event because it kick-starts the party. I am not there to find the 7 of diamonds. Why am I going to book a magician? Well, not to find the 7 of diamonds. What it does is you arrive at a table, you pick your tables if you can, so that you generate a spontaneous round of applause and laughter. And that, funnily enough, gives other tables permission to laugh. And you get these little islands of sort of enthusiasm and joy speckled round the room, and eventually the whole room goes. And then if you stand up at the end of it and do just one trick for the CEO to make a speech, or for the groom for the best man to start the speeches at a wedding, they stand up into an audience that is applauding and facing where they're going to be. Now, the trick is not to give them a tired audience. Sometimes it's really hard to tear yourself away, but you must give that person a focused audience who are in applause mode, and it's got to be long enough to get the smokers back into the room and the people in from the loo. And once you've done that, then those speeches are going to be 10, 15, 20% better than they would have been. How do you become a successful entertainer? Work begets work. If the quality of your work is good, every time you go out to work, someone will go, "I want some of that." And that repeat business is, if you're getting repeat business, you're doing it right. If you have to send out enormous mail outs and cascade and engulf people in sort of emails and things, then maybe you need to look at it. But Repeat business is the best and easiest business for anybody to get. If you've got a room full of people who are saying, I'd like to do that again, then you're succeeding. And it's very odd. An awful lot of my work is repeat business. The same people want to see the same tricks. There's very rarely oh, we've done that, what's next? It's like I often say, if you buy a CD, you don't play Strawberry Fields Forever once and then listen to it again. You want to share it with your friends. And so, especially like being here in Langhams, people come back week after week, month after month, year after year, to see it again. It's always a little bit different. At the end of the night, I want people to go home and go, wow, that was fun. I don't necessarily feel that people, I mean, let's face it, these days with social networking and Google and stuff, I don't want necessarily to be going home saying, how does she, I've got to find out how that's done. I want them to go home feeling that was most entertaining. I'm very glad I saw it. They've only got to go ogle and find out how it's done. I'd rather they didn't want to. I'd much rather they go away going, wow, that was good, I must go back there. Let's have her in again. The most beautiful thing an audience can do for you is to give you a standing ovation. You must not choreograph it. I remember once I was doing a large table of 18-year-olds in a private dining room in Portobello Road. And these 18-year-olds, who were not that sophisticated, they had just spontaneously stood and applauded. And that meant I must have really touched something. Those moments when an audience can't help themselves but just stand up and clap, it's an amazing feeling. And it happens about once a month.